Welcome to another edition of Your Daily Five. I'm your co-host, John Colucci. Johnny Scan with me today, Professor Bruce Fraser. Professor, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on. Good to be here.
Absolutely. Well, today we're going to be streaking in the D. We're looking at the MACD and the streak up command. Unusual combination, but I think that the folks at home are going to appreciate it. This one in particular focuses on the histogram. And we're going to look at the histogram and ask the slope of the histogram be up, as it is in this particular case here. And we're also looking for price to make repeated higher closes. Doesn't that sound interesting, Professor?
Love it. And I really like the MACD, like the way it sets up the turns. This is going to be a fun scan for us to talk about.
Let's take a quick look at the histogram. It's an indicator of an indicator. Explanation here. Really good article on this in the chart school materials. Suffice it to say, it's a fourth level derivative focusing on the relationship between the MACD and its signal line. Read up on that. I think you'll find it fascinating. Here is our scan for this purpose. We take the slope command for 10 periods of the MACD histogram using the standard settings 12, 26, 9, and we want the slope to be greater than 0. All that's saying is that from the start of the 10 periods to the finish of the 10 periods, the histogram goes up in value. Could still be below 0, could always be above 0. Doesn't have anything to do with the 0 line itself, only the value at the start versus the finish. With respect to price, we're going to ask that we have at least 3 higher consecutive closes. That's the streak up command, so streak up greater than 3. We're also going to rank by the number of days that price closes higher. So really, we're using a trend and momentum indicator, the MACD and its histogram, and then we're imposing yet another momentum aspect to it because higher close, higher close, higher close, minimum 4 really has to be greater than 3. Doesn't that sound interesting, Professor?
Absolutely. And just for clarification, the streak up, are those the most recent 3 closes that need to be up in consecutive order?
Yes. There could be more, but at least the prior 3 closes have to be up. So this was run on an intraday update, but after the close, so it picked up the whole day. Intraday, I'm not exactly sure if it's going to do just up to that minute or prior day close. We'll have to talk with our friends at tech support on that, but that's usually why I like to run things on an end of day basis. So let's take a look at what happens when we run this scan. 96 results from a potential pool of hundreds, and look at how interesting it is. Defense, healthcare, finance, discretionary, some really interesting groups and sectors there, but look at the interesting sort criteria. Can you believe that? 11 days up. 3 stocks, each having 11 days up, whole host at 8 and 7 also. That's really an interesting mark of momentum, the number of days up. Your thoughts, Professor?
I really like to see that sort. That's interesting. And then, of course, excuse me, the idea being that this could constitute a change of character in the way that the stock is behaving and the way it's rallying. So this should provide us with some very interesting results.
This is a sneaky Wyckofffian scan. Let's take a look at our results. Here's Lockheed Martin from the defense group. Very, very interesting structure here. Cause all the way back to March, a low in July, August area, and what we would call an LPS with a test launching a very high momentum move up and out of the structure. Stalling a little bit today, but not hugely. Your thoughts, Professor?
I want to look at this chart like bookends. So if you go back and look at February, March, you can see that there's an accelerating run up in Lockheed Martin, and that is a climactic in its nature. And thereafter, it goes into a range-bound situation that takes place from March all the way to October, November. And so now we have this streak up that is occurring, which is at what appears to be at the end of reaccumulation. And so this jump up and out, I would say that the next thing that needs to happen because of the sheer acceleration of this run is that we would want to see a pullback, which is mild, pauses with low volume, diminishing bars as it pulls back, which suggests that it wants to stay out of the structure. And so that would be the next thing that I would look to see here.
Absolutely. And noticed a little bit of family resemblance between the MACD histogram moving up, crossing zero, having higher values, and a streak up of 1, 2, 3, 4 bars there. Here we have MACD going above zero, rising slope to the histogram itself, and that launches a very, very important rally right there. Let's take a look at our next chart, see what's happened there. Another from the defense sector. Again, big launch off of an upsloping histogram, positive cross on the MACD and the signal, and off to the races. Your thoughts here, Professor?
Well, note that the relative strength moving average in the middle panel there, or the one just below price, is up the whole time all the way through. And so you can see the higher highs and higher lows in the structure all the way back to March. So that's very constructive and actually has the characteristic of true leadership. And so now you have acceleration, which has taken out all the overhead resistance. And so we would want to see whether or not there's some kind of a pause in here. But this looks very constructive, no question. And note that the MACD is above zero really since the September close of the quarter, and starts to rally from a positive position in October.
Absolutely. Here we have our next candidate, Intuitive Surgical. So we come into this as a matter of original accumulation. We're preceded by distribution, redistribution, and we have springy action mid-month in October. That's punctuated by a significant rally up, also 11 days, and we see positive slope on our histogram, and it's now above zero. Your thoughts there, Professor?
Looks like potentially a big accumulation type structure back to May, and so now it's up into the area of resistance. It'll be very interesting to see whether or not it has any kind of a reaction to being at resistance, and has been pretty much in a downtrend throughout. So it may have to have, after a spring here in mid-October, it may have to have one last pullback with a last point of support to just confirm the completion of accumulation. But you really have to be impressed with the gaps that are coming in this October rally, and it really is showing really good demand with volume.
Absolutely. A lot of gaps in that one. Big gap in WEX Financial Administration from the finance area. We see a large structure with almost a shakeout type action, test, and then back up into the structure. We have our positive slope on the MACD histogram. Note that it's all above zero. There's no requirement when we look at that slope that it be above or below zero. In this case, all above zero. And this has some meat left on the bone because overhead resistance potentially is up in the 180 area. We're at 165. That could be a tasty trade right there. Your thoughts, Professor?
Well, there's an acceleration in what you're calling the shakeout, which I agree with you in that characterization. And you can see that the acceleration down in mid-September really has a climactic quality. And then note the very large volume on the first rally off the late September low. And then the pullback that comes following that is the test of the shakeout. And it comes on diminishing volume and spread throughout on that pullback, which is a very big clue that there is exhaustion to declining and exhaustion of supply. And so a really good rally follows. Really interesting structure in this stock.
Let's take a look at our next candidate. That's Norwegian Cruise Lines. Not a cruising person myself, but this stock is making some waves. When we see close after close after close at a higher level after a low that's tested, that's an indication that the big interests are in this stock and there's potentially even a bit of urgency to own it. Your thoughts, Professor?
Sure. Big, super high volume shakeout at the end of the third quarter, late September. That shows that the last of the institutions that want to sell the stock are selling, and they're selling aggressively. It has a test in October, which also is on somewhat diminished volume from the climax low. That all constitutes a last point of support type structure. And now a really nice rally into resistance. And so we'll see how it acts at this area of resistance and whether or not it can hold here.
Absolutely. So this scan brings us to points where we would expect a pullback or some type of retracement, a consolidation, a backing up action. Very, very normal. But the key is consistent purchasing by large institutions and movement of price up day after day after day. That's an indication that absorption, a key concept in the world of Wyckoff, has occurred and is continuing to propel prices higher. Your thoughts, Professor?
Absolutely. Well said. Nothing really to add to that other than the fact that it's a classic supply-demand characteristic. And so you have supply has been absorbed, very important term. And so that allows the stocks to go up easily and effortlessly on relatively low volume. And so if this is truly the completion of these structures, it's very compelling in all cases that we may have completion of accumulation of sorts in these stocks.
Well, the big lesson from this chart is book your cruises early because it looks like they're going to get more expensive. Quick, quick note.
Well said.
Our friend Alessio Rotigliano is going to present a crypto strategy swing trading to intraday seminar through Wyckoff Analytics. Professor Bogomolov and Alessio will be presenting that beginning tomorrow on November 3rd. I'm going to be there. Very, very interesting material. And Alessio does a fantastic job. Wouldn't you say, Professor?
Oh, yeah. He's wonderful. Tremendous work on coin figure for crypto trading. And this is a must-view workshop for anybody that's interested or working in the crypto arena.
That's it. So that's all we have time for today. That's another Your Daily Fives. Thanks much, Professor. Great show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.